Hey, my name's Jeffries. Thanks for stopping by. Do you like storytime YouTubers? I don't. I get the appeal, it's vicarious drama, the facade of social interactions, good or bad, and it's among the hottest commodities in modern times. We watch televised idiots have drunk squabbles just because it scratches the same itch as a real friend group with real drunk squabbles. This might seem irrelevant to the topic I clickbaited you with. Sorry about that, by the way. But I want to establish that feeling, that painful distance when you can't experience something yourself. I believe I'll be feeling that a lot in the future because I can't play new video games. To elaborate, let's get on to my story time. My first YouTube video was a review of Monster Hunter World, my favorite game of all time. I went back and played Generations Ultimate, and I was playing Rise day one because of World. I'm not a longtime fan of the series, but Monster Hunter Wilds meant everything to me. I've never followed a game this actively. I played the beta and said, as soon as some of those quirks get ironed out, this will be the best time of my life. But I don't get to play Monster Hunter Wilds. My PC simply isn't strong enough to overcome the performance issues. I don't mean to overhype this, but it was as if I were Alexander the Great and Monster Hunter Wilds were Hephaestion. This somehow brought up one of the more tragic parts of my backstory. In elementary school, I was a bad kid. Not in the Dennis the Menace, haha, that lovable scamp kind of way, more of a I got expelled from elementary school for making a bomb threat way. Story for another time. In school, I got every punishment imaginable, even the sit in the dark closet and think punishment. But the worst punishment I ever received as a child was the blue box. This was a stone pillar which held up this canopy leading up to the playground. This pillar had a large step carved into it which was painted blue. If you misbehaved the correct amount to not be suspended but still needed to be punished, you were forced to sit in the blue box for all of recess. The seat hurt, it was cold, but what really made it a punishment is that you had to sit there and watch the other kids play. You had to be bored and alone while all the fun in the world was in full view. And it's not supposed to be like that for me anymore. I'm a grown man. I owe no respect to school faculty. Yet here we are. My old stomping grounds. It's smaller than I recall. I barely fit in here anymore. Especially this, the exact blue box I sat in for so many recesses.
Hello, username Jeffries.
Yes?
It's Ashley.
Oh.
You think because you're a big YouTuber now, you can, with 100 subs, you can just come meet little...
Let's work towards the root of my issue. Video games have been around a long time. Hard to believe it's been half a century since Gunfight came out, and since video games are old enough, we can start applying long-term graphs to certain aspects. For instance, the typical popularity chart looks like this. Standard. But this can be applied at micro or macro levels almost universally. Almost nothing evades this chart, because nothing is immune to time.
Except, of course.
The causes of this popularity decline do differ. It's not like religions ever dissolve naturally. Hey everyone! You know how the gods live on Mount Olympus? Well, I climbed to the top. And you know what I saw? Artemis's soapy tits? Do I look like I've been turned into a deer? No! I saw rocks! No gods! Well, you heard him. Our entire religion is a lie, and we can't worship it anymore. Ah, dang. We'll just have to worship something more modern now. What's more modern? Let's see you try climbing this. On a micro level, we can apply this to genres like superhero movies. And what I love about this graph is that it's just the starting point for a lot of other graphs, a personal favorite being the sarcasm chart. We see here that genres start off with very little sarcasm. They play things serious, grounded, earnest. But over time, these stories begin poking fun at themselves, pointing out their own cliches, which inevitably destabilizes the foundation and contributes to the decline. I also like seeing this Goldilocks zone where it's serious enough to function, but self-aware enough to not be cheesy. For superhero movies, this is Guardians of the Galaxy. And for you, this is the starting point of the video. The art versus business chart. This is why video games all suck now, and why I'm able to play less and less of them. When a genre, or in this case, a whole artistic medium, begins, there will be a significantly higher percentage of passionate artists in decision-making positions. There will initially be very low profit incentive, thus, only those who care will invest time and resources. The first video game ever was only made to entertain some visitors during an exhibition. It didn't make any money. The positive of this is that you exclusively got the right kind of people. The artists were high value, and thus got a lot more bargaining power to make what they wanted. Unfun fact, this is why AI art is being pushed so hard. Businesses don't like dealing with creative types. AI art removes the need for creative types. Boom. And that's a pattern we see often, creative people getting pushed out of the decision making. Consulting the chart, I'd estimate video games are here. This could become a big rant about how late-stage capitalism is killing art, culture, and the pursuit of happiness. But I'm too old to avoid reality. It's unfortunate, but the companies that focus only on making good products always go bankrupt long before the soulless, cost-effective trend followers. It's our fault, the consumers, blah blah. This is about Monster Hunter. I want to play Monster Hunter. But to play Monster Hunter, we need to be here, but we're not here, we're nya. Do you see the predicament I'm in? Games have long since passed the threshold of being primarily business. I don't care about games following trends, like everything needing to be a battle royale or an open world survival crafting. I care about the aspects making the games unplayable. I can play a battle royale, that's whatever. I can't play a game too big to fit on my computer. I can't play a game that doesn't run properly. You know, to this day, Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't run well on my PC? No idea why. Plenty of more intensive games run great, but turn-based D&D on the lowest graphical settings? Ugh, I'd rather play Mortal Kombat through a Viewmaster. This is unplayable. I can kick graphics down. I can skip overly long cutscenes, usually. I can adapt to new games being popular, but I can't be shelling out hundreds of dollars to overpower my PC. Even if I had the money, I wouldn't want to. I was raised cheap, and for the record, baloney ain't half bad. It's unreasonable to expect customers to possess fairly high-end equipment to enjoy a casual entertainment product. Could you imagine if instead of DVD players being replaced with streaming, they were replaced with movie theater quality film projectors? That's the direction video games are headed. Our obsession with high-fidelity voice acting, music, and the graphics, 4K textures, and so many polygons for the realistic jiggle physics. You know, back in my day, we could get off to 8 pixels a tit, and we were grateful to have them. Of course, game devs never bother cleaning up their code these days, but the bulk of these file sizes are the insane amount of high-quality resources. For scale, my beloved GameCube, which does not look bad at all to this day, averaged a texture size of 512 by 512, while modern consoles aim for 4K, which is 3,840 times 2,160. This maths out to say a single modern texture is over 31 times larger than a GameCube texture. Combine this with how much larger game areas are, again, open world survival crafting being popular, and you can see why the file sizes hit an exponential ramp at some point. I have personally believed for years that there's not a single game that needs graphics better than the PS2 era, and I stand by that. Monster Hunter being the topic of the day actually fits into this point. I don't care for the older Monster Hunter games much, which all looked like PS2 games, but I didn't get into World because it was prettier. I did it because I was in college and I had lots of free time. And the game was simply better than previous Monster Hunters. The control scheme was better. No claw hands. Bow guns just shot like normal guns in every other video game for the last 20 years. Everything was silky smooth. It felt good to play in a way previous entries did not. My point is that even if World looked like the previous entries, I would still love it and prefer it to them. The graphical improvement contributed to a much smaller increase in appeal compared to the improvements to gameplay. This is my main complaint about modern games. The graphical improvements can now take up dozens to hundreds of gigabytes. Easily, the majority of file size and computing power is allocated towards HD textures, lighting, fluid dynamics.
Jiggle physics.
Yet they attribute very little to how much I enjoy a game. So them being so intense to the point that some games run like crap, even on a very decent gaming PC if I do say so myself, that's unreasonable. Again, consult the chart. It's not an artistic choice, it's a business decision. Video game companies are now no different than the companies of other products like pants or cereal. Businessmen can't comprehend the true value of having smooth performance or good controls beyond, oh, this is one of our high quality products, we should spend money to market this. They don't even understand the value of different genres. It's actually a fairly well-known story of why did the Devil May Cry series have this slump after Devil May Cry 4? See, Devil May Cry 1 through 4 all came out 2 to 3 years apart. But then there's a 5-year gap until the American reboot, and a 6-year gap until the Japanese deboot. It all leads back to the businessmen at Capcom looking at Devil May Cry 4's very good sales numbers and saying, hey, we were told this game was going to be very high quality. Why did we only sell 3 million copies when Halo 3 and Call of Duty World at War both sold about 15 million copies? All of these games came out within a year of each other, by the way. You can see the point from a business perspective. Unfortunately, we were Kyon in 2008, so there probably weren't enough actual video game experts in the room to explain, well, sir, these are completely different genres and thus completely incomparable products. It's like comparing dress pants to leather spandex. They're both pants, but one is much better at holding cereal. These are not competitors. They have different functions and customers. You don't compare them. The business mind cannot comprehend this. Often enough, a businessman knows nothing of the industry they work in. They just know risk assessment and the like. This is why graphics are pushed so hard for new releases. To a businessman, good graphics are just marketing, packaging, really, things they can understand, which is why more decisions being made by these businessmen leads to a decrease in quality and eventually sales. The main decision makers don't actually know anything about good games. I couldn't find exact figures, but it's pretty obvious Devil May Cry 4 had a much smaller budget than Halo 3 or Call of Duty World at War. It was a very healthy success for Capcom, but the businessmen wanted more, and if my gambling addiction has taught me anything, you never lose more money than when you're trying to make it. Capcom went on to spend years trying to mold Devil May Cry to have that mainstream appeal, and ended up wasting 11 years they could have spent making another 3 Devil May Cry games and much more money than DMC did. And more recently, in similar form, Capcom saw that Monster Hunter World did significantly better than the unfinished and originally Switch exclusive Monster Hunter Rise and said, ah, it was the graphics, and kicked them up so high that me, the official easiest to convince to buy a new Monster Hunter game man, didn't get wild. Even though I really, really want it. Call it suffering from success, but video games becoming incredibly profitable was the worst thing to ever happen to them. But this is the flow of things in life. Luckily, this graph isn't the end of the line. We can already see this happening with the frequency of AAA games being outperformed by small studio or indie projects, and I look forward to it. I could go on to different aspects of what business does to video games, rant about microtransactions or political agendas in games. I think I'd rather wrap up here. The games I actually want being unplayable, simply because of my hardware due to misguided decision makers, that's what bothers me most. I don't know if and when Wilds will get to a more playable state for my hardware, but funnily enough, my thoughts here, at the end, are exactly my thoughts from my first YouTube video. Everyone else can have fun with the new games, but I've still got plenty of old games to enjoy in the meantime. And should you ever feel like coming back to Monster Hunter World, let's play together. I'll be waiting. Right here. Forever. Thanks for making it this far into the video. If you enjoyed it, a like and subscription mean a lot, and if you didn't like it, well, why the hell not? You better comment and tell me. Anyways, take care.